Ayahuasca Visions by Pablo Amaringo. Every tree, every plant has a spirit. People may say that the plant has no mind. I tell them that the plant is alive and conscious. A plant may not talk, but there is a spirit in it that is conscious, that sees everything, which is the soul of the plant, its essence, what makes it alive. The channels through which the water and sap move are the veins of the spirit. Part 1: Plant Teachers and Shamanic Powers. Vision 1: Preparation of Ayahuasca. Here we see the jungle of the Ucayali with these native trees, bushes, plants, herbs, and underbrush. There a pisan type of house with its roof of shibon leaves, its fork-shaped props of incira tree, its floor of ponas, and hammock in the center. We see a certain riverside vegetalista who for many years has been dedicated to obtaining knowledge through ayahuasca. He begins by cutting an ayahuasca liana that is climbing up a capirona tree. To do this, the vegetalista had to follow a required discipline. He has not been with his wife for 3 days. He has had to contact with ill-tempered or bad-living people. He has eaten no salty, sweet, or bitter food. He has not gotten drunk. He is clean according to the requirements of his purge. He gets up early in the morning and goes to take an ayahuasca robe or liana. He goes out with his cigarette, taking with him his tobacco, and he puts to the foot of the ayahuasca plant an offering of tobacco, matches, and some dry leaves of the heart of the banana tree in the manner of paper to wrap the tobacco. Then he says to the grandfather, the ayahuasca spirit, "Here I put your tobacco for you, your matches, your banana leaf for you to rub your tobacco. I ask you, grandfather, to permit me to take your plant for medicine, not to cause any harm to nobody, but to cure sick people." Then the vegetalista observes the chicua, piacayana, a bird that is always flying about. We can see it up on the far left side of the planting and also in another tree close to the capirona. At the right, if the bird says, "Cheese, cheese," it's good to take the vine. But if the animal says, "Chicua," then it must not be taken. The vegetalista just has to leave it for another day because there can be danger. The enemy can attack him, he can be killed, or something else can happen. If the animal says, "Chis, chis, chicua," it means that at the first things will go well, but afterwards they will go wrong. Perhaps he will not be able to cure the sick person as desired. After obtaining the ayahuasca, the vegetalista cuts into pieces, makes it into a roll, and takes it to his house. There, he cuts into smaller pieces and starts to crush and boil them. After boiling for 3 or 4 hours, he pours the juice into other pots. He continues to crush and put new pieces of the vine into the now empty pot and again boils it. He goes on like this. He always has 3 or 4 pots very full, taking out the juice of the ayahuasca. Then he adds fresh ayahuasca. The vegetalista puts in the chacruna that he has taken in the morning while fasting. First, he puts the ayahuasca in the pot, Gristless Anicaro, a power song, and then he adds the chacruna, putting the side which has received the sun downwards with the spurs upwards. Then he puts another layer of crushed ayahuasca on it, the 12 to 15 pieces he has ground. He again takes 2 handfuls of chacruna leaves and pours water on them, filling the pot to the top. In order for the purge to be effective, the pot must be made of clay, not aluminum or other material. The vegetalista adds a handful of tobacco to make the mixture boil, and any other ingredient he may usually add when he prepares the ayahuasca purge. He can add different kinds of brushes, leaves, Here in the book, mention different kind of scientific names of leaves, but I'm not going to say that because are so strange. And then says, but it is not always good to mix in the pure so many things. It's better to make it each time with the chakruna, and if he so wishes, he may add another plant, always one at a time. He is he is in a solitary place where nobody will look at the pot, which must not be seen by anybody. For this reason, the vegetalist must be choose a small village or an insulated place where nobody will arrive and where nobody will speak to him. He doesn't have his wife, he doesn't have a helper, he doesn't have anybody with him. This is because this perk is unlucky when it is not prepared correctly. It does not give positive results because the mothers of or spirits of the vegetation do not come to help in the preparation. If it does not suffice to cook the vine, one must also have some spiritual contact to give one strength. One's way of being must be appropriate because we are influenced by spiritual beings. Even though they are not seen, it is true they exist. They are the ones that have taken over these plants. They are the conservers. They take care of the plants. This is why they don't give visions to persons who don't comply with all the requirements of this so-called ciencia vegetalista, which in the old days was known as alquimia pástica, plant alchemy. You can only become a good vegetalista by keeping a diet or fasting for years. Then you become one of the knowns, the signs of the Mudraya, of the Sumi, and of the Banco, which are the three highest degrees in the traditional vegetalista medicine in the Amazon. Here we see the vegetalista with his dog, like a guardian in physical form to keep away other animals or persons, but the dog also has a spiritual vision. He can see in a spiritual way that an enemy is coming closer and can hurt his master. Then the dog wakes up and wakes his master. Even though the vegetalista puts on these arcane of defenses, he doesn't have no sensibility to perceive the enemy from miles away, but the dog does, because he can see so many things, so many spirits in different ways. The dog also has something mystical, magical, and spiritual. For this reason, the vegetalista must always have a dog. Vision 2. Origin of Ayahuasca. This is what I saw in a vision that nearly killed me. I can attest that among the most remote tribes of Peru, there is one called Shins, of great warriors. Among them, there was a king called Sinchiuyakui, who after being defeated by another tribe went full of sorrow to a garden where he had planted various trees. There he died and was buried near them. Some years later, he appeared in a dream of his wife, Queen Wanmaquina, and asked her to go to his grave with some of her princesses, taking with her his shield, his spear, his bronze war club, and sling, the gur from which he used to drink, and his chicha, basil. He will then give her some instructions relating to the plant that had grown grave. The queen did as indicated, and when she was judged her husband's weapons near his grave, she saw in great terror that he emerged from the grave with his body shining and radiating light, wielding a golden war club in his hands. The queen and her companion dropped down horrified, facing the ground. Incapable of looking directly at the king, one of them began to scream, "Runa, Raimi! Ayaruna!" The king said, "Don't be afraid, Sumakwartas. Listen to my words so that in the future you are able to be in contact with me. I died sad and bitter due to defeat I was not able to foresee. Whenever you wish, you may receive good advice unknown. In other words, I made a plan grown out, see her. This vine grew and climbed up to the tree my grave, and therein flowered, producing seeds. This plant you shall take cuttings, and you will shall call ayahuasca. From aya, what the dead person, bitter, and huasca vine. That is why the songs these plant teachers are sad and melancholic, as if played on harps on quenas. Quenas are flutes, Incaic flutes, and you must mix it with the plant called chacruna that is growing near my feet. With the help of these two plants, you will be able to see fantastic colors and sounds, and you will be able to develop your psyche and acquire deep knowledge from the past cultures. Picture it here also in the center of the lake in a huge Raja Mama, also known locally as Pam Bamuri. This hairy ray is very much feared because its size 30 to 40 meters in circumference. It is able to sink boats in the river, and it's sent by witches to erode riverbanks, destroying the property of their victims. It acts as a lead for subterranean tunnels which connect cities of the bottom of the lakes and rivers. Towards the tail of the Bamuri is nymph called Kimat, a queen of the underwater world. It is said that when she emerges, tremendous tempests are produced. She is called upon by curanderos as defense against evil sorcerers. Around the Pambamuri, there are 4 puka bufeos that are pink dolphins, blowing their sorcery upwards. It's important to know that in this book, Ayahuasca Visions, you have to buy them because it has beautiful paintings, and all the descriptions are about the paintings that the shaman Pablo Amaringo did. So this is the Vision 3, Ayahuasca and Chacruna. This painting represents the 2 plants necessary in preparing the ayahuasca brew. Out of the ayahuasca vine comes a black snake with yellow, orange, and blue spots, surrounded by a yellow aura. There is also another snake, the chacruna snake, of bright and luminous colors. From its mouth comes a violet radiation surrounded by blue rays. The chacruna snake penetrates the ayahuasca snake, producing the visionary effect of these 2 magical plants. To the left, we see the teacher and his disciples covered by the radiation of the ayahuasca and the chacruna plants. The effect on the nervous system is felt in the tip of the toes and fingers, in the ears, lips, eyes, and nose. This is why these parts are red. The combined effect of these plants is esoteric. Due to their supernatural properties, psychic bodies are created that the eyes have never perceived before, so that one is overwhelmed by this strange new dimension. This world penetrates the top of the head so that the aura stimulates a gland between the eyebrows, the third eye. At the top of the left, we see a bird called rompemartajas. That's an owl, that has been transformed from a tobacco leaf. Below, we see a great queen with a golden scepter. Her name is Marikitato. She is a doctor with great knowledge. Below her is the legendary fairy Quetfile, who knows about medicine and paranormal beauty. Behind the chacruna serpent, we see the great sylph Reshfenel, the guardian of several constellations. We see him here surrounded by meteors and bright sapphires which illuminate their clothes. To the right, we see the great gardener with a golden stick and a pipe shaped like a snake. This being has the rank of satrapa pironico and always cares of the ayahuasca plant. The cricket we see near him cries in alarm when anybody cuts a piece of this plant without first making an offering. If the offering is made, it listens to the prayers. When ayahuasca is ingested, it gives positive effects. The school here show that those who do not withstand the effect of ayahuasca may die. One has to prepare one's body properly before taking this plant.